Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we are going to be joined by Ash, who is the CEO of My Support Room. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for joining. So as I've said, we are going to be joined by Ash, who is the CEO of My Support Room. So we're going to have a little bit of a chat and a discussion about mental health, what you can do to move things forward with your life. I'm just waiting for him to come on now with me, so look out for that. But I hope you're all okay. I hope you're finding lockdown okay, and there's lots of good things to come, okay? So we're almost through this time, kind of, according to the news and the science. So we've just got to keep on keeping on, keep on doing what we can, keep turning up for ourselves each and every day, and do things that make you feel more positive, more upbeat and excited for what the future's going to bring. What are you doing differently? What are you doing to better yourself? What are you doing for your mental health? But also, what are you doing to help other people with their mental health? Okay, so one of the things that we like doing is not raising awareness just for yourself and what you can take away, but so you can recognize where family members might need support, or where other people, your work colleagues, your partners, what are you doing to help them? Okay, so we're in a time where we're trying to better everybody and moving forward together.
Adam, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Just to introduce myself, I'm the founder of Support Room, and I've been speaking to Adam for a week now, a week or two, and Adam's a real inspiration, not only just a therapist, but at the same time, really positive in terms of his approach and just wanting to help people, which really attracted me to really kind of dig deeper and speak to him in more detail. We should definitely do an IG live together, because what Adam can offer can really support those that are suffering today, but also, can really kind of help you in your everyday life as well. So Adam, thanks for taking time out to really kind of have this session today. First of all, I want to welcome all the viewers today and thank them for joining us. And I hope, any questions that anyone has, feel free to put it in the comments, and then we can answer them, as we go through this conversation on our IG live today. COVID is sometimes an excuse in terms of the impact of mental health. Yeah. Mental health has been affecting people for many years, and the numbers are increasing, by the day. But then as we kind of move forward, people are just not getting the right level of support today. And one of the things that we are seeing at Support Room is people's mindsets it's been affected. There's nothing really positive to kind of look forward to at the moment. And because of that, people are kind of down in the dumps and just not feeling great about themselves. What advice would you give to individuals that are actually feeling like there's no hope, or, I've got, nothing really to look forward to in my life, or tomorrow, for example?
Good question. And like you said, COVID has made us all think about our mental health a little bit more. But like you said, we've always had it. Everybody has mental health. So it's about recognizing that we've got it. It's about what are we going to do differently now to look after it, okay? Don't think of it as mental health. Look at it as your mental strength. If you want to go and get stronger, you go to the gym, you lift weights, you go running, you become fitter, you become physically stronger, okay? So your mental health, what do you do to get stronger in the mind? So when you think about every day, if I go to the gym, yeah, I'm going to get strong, but actually I'm not doing anything to look after my mindset. I'm not looking after my head. I'm not protecting myself, my energy. I'm not looking after myself properly. Okay, so there's more aspects to ourselves than just the physical. So it's about understanding that this is the case, and then what are we going to do differently? So this time that we're in with lockdown, etc., what routines have you got in place that look after your mind? Because you'll know the mind is one of the most powerful weapons in the world. It's the strongest thing that we possess. But what do we do to look after it? So going for a run, yeah, I'm going to feel better, but how do I make my mind feel better? So this is where, when you're in times of need, times of struggle, and you're wondering, why am I having these thoughts? There's so many things that we can do. And I think for people that are in that headspace of not looking forward to things to come, let's rewind, because we're looking ahead too far, and focus on what we've got right now, each and every day. So it begins with that present moment. It's about, let's not wander too far down the road. Let's not worry about things that have already happened, but bring it all right into this present moment. What do you do every day to protect your peace, to help you move forward? One of the best things for me is gratitude. Waking up in the morning, we should be grateful that we've made it through the night, because 160,000 people a day, I believe it is, don't wake up. Be grateful that, one, you've woke up, you've made it through the night, you've got a bed, hopefully you've slept in a bed under a roof, you've got clothes to put on, you've got food. So start looking at all those things that you're grateful for. Let's not focus on what you haven't got or what you're aspiring to, because that will come. But for the moment, let's just look at what we have got right now. And we've got time, okay? So COVID, we have had more time. We've got more things to look forward to, but we've got more things in the day, where we're recognizing the seasons. We went through the whole of last year pretty much and saw spring on its way. We saw summer. We saw the late nights. We saw literally every minute as it got darker earlier approach us. We don't normally have that, because we're too focused on what we're doing next, where we're going. And it's about bringing these times. There's a lot of beauty in what we're served with right now. As hard as it has been, it's allowed us that time, that moment, just to refocus, set more goals, more targets, and move forward in a much more positive manner.
That's amazing. It's great advice for those that are suffering or those that are struggling right now. But you're right, we've gone for a year of struggling, and there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Like all of us at the moment, self-care is a big issue. You know, we're stuck indoors. We're not going into the office anymore, for example. Gyms are closed. And it's having an impact on your mindset, but also your positivity, and also it's making people more stressed and more fatigued as well. Now, in terms of kind of mindset, how would you advise people to have a positive mindset, but also, you know, change their mindset and their perception about how they're feeling right now?
Okay, the mindset, positivity are things that we can train. We can switch from a negative mindset. Our default mindset is negative, okay? So when things are going great, we always expect something bad to happen. That's just natural. That's the people that we are. That's how we've evolved, okay? So your mindset is about doing small things each and every day that make you feel better. And so, for instance, if you've got 10 things to do in a day and 9 things don't go well, but one of them does, focus on that one good thing, because that's what we should be celebrating. That's what we need to keep on going for. Okay, so look for the positives in every negative situation. Okay, and another thing with positivity, it breeds. So
Yeah.
positivity, it spreads. You can train yourself to become more positive. Look at the people around you that you've got in your life. Are they positive? Are they negative? Because you need to be focusing more on the positive, because it naturally makes you feel better. So your mindset, again, it's that choice. You can choose a positive mindset or a negative mindset. It takes time. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's an overnight fix. But when you become more aware of the emotional intelligence and the mindset, it will start growing and it will start improving, and you'll recognize that things do start changing for you, because you're focusing on the good things. And it's easy to look at the negatives. I mean, negativity is all around us, but what are you doing to break away from that habit? It's like mold, it creeps in, it gets you when you're not looking, and it's a choice. But for me, the biggest thing that's spreading negativity at the moment is the news and social media. But social media it's under your control. You know who you're accepting to follow, you know who your friend requesting with, and you're choosing to watch what they're putting out there. So if it's all negative and you're not enjoying it, then get rid of them. Okay, it's as simple as that. unfollow them. And if they're family, do it, because you've got to protect your peace. That comes first. This is part of the self-care. It's part of the self-discovery. You need to know what makes you tick. So what inspires you? What motivates you? Who encourages you? The same with the news. The news, they should have been broadcasting tonight that we're on talking positive things and helping people change their lives. That should be on the news, but instead of that, it's negative. There's in the area not far from us, the knife crime is horrific at the moment, and we see all of this negative stuff. Instead of going, right, here's positive messages, this is the message of hope and the message of faith, and these are real people trying to make a difference to the world. And when you look at the news, okay, so the news, it starts in the morning. You wake up, you watch the news, you get fed with stuff which has an impact too, especially if you're not quite feeling 100%, which we don't feel 100% every day. You get fed with this information. You go to work and you go, wow, what a really horrible world it is. So many people have died and the pandemic's striking everywhere. Then you get to lunchtime, you sit down, you eat your sandwich, you put the news back on, you're fed with more negativity. Evening meal, the same thing. It's all around that same time. And you end up going to bed watching the news at 10 o'clock. And then you're in bed and you go, the world's really bad. And then you're going to sleep thinking about what crises are going on in the world with war, terror, violence, all sorts. And you wonder why you can't go to sleep, because this negative pattern is instilled in us. So it's about what are you going to do differently now to make that change. So yes, watch the news and get the facts and figures and the updates on sport and weather, but that's it. Close it down, shut it off, and then focus on something different. And when people talk about, I don't have time for self-care, I don't have time to work on myself, or I don't have time to read, make those changes. So put the news down and pick up a book. Stop scrolling through social media, looking at people that you don't get inspired by, and go and watch a YouTube video on motivation. Go and learn a new thing to do. Get creative. Spend time with children or family. Make a phone call. Find time to work out. There's so much you can do within that day if you look at the habits that you've already got and just make little tweaks and adjustments.
I think that's amazing, because a lot of people that I speak to at the moment, they've just stopped watching the news, to be fair, because it's so negative and it's the same conversation just going round and round all day. You read the newspapers, it's exactly the same thing. You look at online news, and it does have an impact. The more you read it, the more you feel like, actually, I just don't feel positive today. I feel totally negative about, what I'm going to do next, or how I'm going to, my future perspective in terms of next month or the month after. It's, there's just nothing to encourage anyone at the moment. And I totally agree with what you just said. You've got to kind of break what you're doing right now. Start doing things that are a lot more positive than just looking at negative things. You're right. Start doing some exercise. You may not have some outdoor space. Use your living room, for example. You watch motivational videos. Anything that's going to drive positivity, I think, in today's age or world is the right thing to do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's about making those small changes, because the small changes will then become the big things. It will be life-changing, because you've made so many small changes that it changes the whole way that you see life. I'm just looking, we've got a question saying about, can we watch the news and still be positive? Absolutely. Because like I said, you take away what you need to take away, and then you know what to do with it, whether you think whether you're going to let it impact you, you question the opposite, or you only take what you really need to know. We do need to watch the news and find out what's going on, yeah, but let's not be watching the news all day, every day, or make those choices. If we can't sleep, don't watch the news before you go to bed. If you want to wake up positive, don't put the news on first thing in the morning, because things will burst your bubble. And when you're starting to do that work on yourself initially, when you admit that you need help, support, want to become better, you're sensitive. You've probably hit like an all-time low. You want to make that change, and just the slight thing or something somebody says can stop you in your tracks and make you doubt whether this is going to be worth it eventually. Okay, so you need to remember that you are sensitive, the bubble will burst easy. But over time, you're going to build resilience. You're going to become mentally stronger. You're going to know how to roll with the good times, and you're going to also know how to kind of bounce off the bad times, because you've got your whole mindset will change. The things you do will be different to what you've used to do. But you will doubt yourself, and you will question yourself, and you will want to not understand. But that's the beauty of keep on going, because good things will happen.
I totally agree with that. The one thing that we discussed earlier is, and I think this is a really important point. You know, if we look at mental health, there are some that admit to, yes, I need help. And there are many that actually, especially males actually, because we have this whole kind of persona about being strong and, you know, we can deal with things on our own. And the whole persona is we need to be strong around our partners or our friends. But actually, nobody should be living in silence, in my view. If you feel like you need to talk to somebody about, you know, your anxiety or your depression, or you could be stressed, you know, you should. It could be a friend, a family, it could be a stranger, whoever it is you want to talk to, you should talk to. But what steps do you think that people should take that don't admit to having those issues, to actually saying, yes, I do have an issue and I should seek some help before these symptoms get worse? Do you have any advice for listeners?
Like you said, it's about, I get the whole society thing, and we don't talk about how we're feeling, and we think that we're being strong by not talking about it. But the question for you is, how strong would you be if you do start talking about it? Because you're opening up that emotional side of you, which you've been protecting for so long. So when you do start talking, and when you tell someone how you're feeling, you always feel better for doing so, because the saying, you've got it off your chest. You look like you've got the world on your shoulders. All of those things, that's because you're not dealing with or channeling or getting rid of these thoughts and emotions, feelings, behaviors that you're going through. So when you do have a chat with someone, there's always somebody who will understand what you're going through. There's someone that has been through what you're going through, or they'll be able to offer solutions and ways that maybe you've not thought about. Because when you are suffering, you don't always see a way out. You think that the only way, and you only think that you're deserving of bad luck or bad times. And that's like the way of life, where you think that life won't change because I'm deserving of all these bad things. But life will change, and it can change, and it does change when you start making small changes to your day. So talking out, you've got to do it. Communication is one of the best therapies out there. Okay. And even like the times that we're in, we've had so much taken away from us. All of our coping mechanisms have almost gone. And what we are left with is communication with another person, be it that it's not always in the physical form, it's online, it's a phone call, it's a message. Just by letting somebody know how you're feeling can help you. It can and will change somebody's life. Okay. And what I like with what I'm doing, what you're doing with Support Room, is we're trying to find those people that are in dark times. Okay. So you can't just walk and go and see someone at the moment. So what we're doing is we're getting out there, we're putting ourselves out there, showing us that we're guys talking about mental health like we would talk about football, like we would talk about food over a beer, etc. So we want to reach those bedrooms. We want to reach those people that are in need of hearing this right now, and just let you know that support is out there, and it doesn't have to be in like a voice. Okay. So Support Room, for those that don't know, it's a messaging service as well. Okay. So you can just fire your messages off to your therapists, and support is accessible all the time. So it's a great thing to have, and a great way to start talking. If you want to move forward but you don't know how, there is a way that you can do it.
And what I love about this, Adam, is there are lots of mental health advocates, there are lots of therapists, there's the NHS, there's companies like Support Room, but we're all working to achieve one thing: to provide support and improve and increase the awareness across the UK. We know there's a major problem out there. And if we can help, I've said this so many times, if we can all help, 1% of those that are suffering across the UK, I think we can all pat ourselves on the back and say we've done an amazing job. And this is why we do these IG lives, is because these sessions really kind of help people and guide people in the right direction. And I think that's the key to really kind of support it. You know, it's not always about I need to, I need to use a service. Just speaking to somebody like yourself who can give the amazing advice, could help somebody tomorrow to wake up in a much better mood and be a bit more positive about their life moving forward, which is amazing. What really kind of got me engaged when we started speaking was really about where you came from and where you are today and the journey that you took. And I think a lot of the viewers, when they hear your journey, they're going to really kind of resonate with a lot of it. I've been through a similar scenario, and that's what really connected me. Maybe if you could take the viewers through that journey so they can understand why you're so passionate about helping people. And yeah, I'll throw it over to you, Adam.
Okay, so
I put you on the spot, haven't I?
yeah, massively, but I knew it was going to come. But yeah, you're totally right. Like, some people will join in today and they'll go, "Who are these guys? Why are these guys so passionate about mental health? Why are they talking and sharing their stories? What drives them?" And some people think that when people see people doing good things, they just judge that, oh yeah, they've just got lucky, or they found their way there, or they don't actually care. But my story, it was so my background was retail. 16 years old, I joined a very famous supermarket in the UK, and kind of thought that was going to be me for forever. Worked my way through the hierarchy, through the structure, promotion. Then you've got the dangled carrot, and do this, it'll be good for your development, and then you can move store and you can move around, and great things, and lots of like prospects. But in 2014, at the age of 32, I was 4 days away from getting married. Okay. But I knew that I was looking at one day of happiness versus the rest of my life, and I didn't see past that one day. I was like in it for the wrong reasons. There were times where maybe I should have jumped sooner, but life goes on and you get comfortable. Like, my job was comfortable, the relationship was comfortable, but I wasn't thriving. I knew I had more to give. I knew that there was more to my life than doing the same kind of habits each and every day. I called the wedding off. Okay, so 4 days away from getting married, called my wedding off because I knew that it wasn't going to be forever. I wanted to find that dream woman who I could run away into the sunset with, and I believe that will happen, because down the line, like, great things have happened. So yeah, I called for wedding off, and you can imagine how bad that must have been to make that decision. I'm a person which cares a lot about people, and probably for so long I've always put other people first. I was very much like, I would rather hurt myself and give someone the pleasure than put myself first and see someone in pain. But I knew that something was going to break, and that was going to be me. So I had to make that decision. It wasn't good. It was hard. It was tough, and I felt like I let my family down. I felt I let my parents down, friends, everybody. I just felt it was horrible. But I knew in the heart of hearts that I'd made the best decision for me, because it was about my happiness, my life, and taking ownership of who I am. I mean, I was so lost, I didn't even recognize myself. And it wasn't until 7, 8 months after that I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, like, this is almost like the child that I found again. Shortly after calling the wedding off, I thought, right, it's time to hand my notice in as well, because again, I just started doing a lot of security work. So I was doing like 2 jobs. One to kind of was my career, my day job, and then the other one was a bit of a side, just to get extra income coming in. And I found myself in some really good security work. I was doing film premieres down in London, seeing the lights, driving past Harrods on the red carpet, seeing like the stars that you see on TV. And I just had a bit of a wake up where I was like, you're on the red carpet, here's all the celebrities. And then the next day I was back in the supermarket having arguments with shoplifters, arguments over baked beans. And I was like, there's more purpose to me. I'm going to go and find it. I didn't quite know what it was, but I went on a mission to go and pursue it. So over the next sort of 18 months, 2 years, I was doing a lot of security work all over the country, VIP parties, royal parties, close protection stuff, asset protection. I was on film sets, TV shows, all sorts of things, doing really cool stuff. But I still felt there was more to me. I still felt like I had something to give, something which I could share and inspire others to go and want to be better. Alongside all of this, I'd been training in martial arts. So Muay Thai was something that gave me inner confidence. When I had my gloves on, when I was competing, I was in a nothing else in my life matters right now, because I don't want to get hurt by this guy who's in the ring with me. And it was very much like some would get the same feeling doing yoga, where it's that element of mindfulness, for relaxing. When I had my gloves on and nothing else mattered, that was my inner peace. I was so tranquil and in that present moment. So that was my hobby, and I think my hobby kind of built resilience. It gave me the mental strength where to get into the ring to compete, you've got to be strong in your mind. It wasn't about the body, the physical stuff and getting hurt. It was my mind has to want me to get into the ring to do it. So yeah, I'm very thankful to the martial arts that kind of made me the man that I am. It gave me that strength and kind of just like the take it on the chin. I was like, okay, I'm just going to take everything on the chin. So in 2016, 2017, I went on a business course. So I was doing a lot of courses just to train my mind, to keep myself active. I recognized it when I was in like a state of depression. I was anxious about the future because my money situation had changed, where I wasn't getting paid every 4 weeks. I was then now having to find my money, find the work to get paid. I went on a course in Birmingham, and the coach there said, turn your passion into profit and you'll never look another day back. So I was thinking, like, how do I turn Muay Thai into a job? How do I make money from it? So I called my friend up and I said, mate, would you come down to the gym and like pay to kick me and punch me? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. When? I'll be there tomorrow morning. So that was
That's a
kind
good
of
friend.
how my first. Hey, sorry.
I think that's a good friend.
Yeah, and that was it. So a couple of social media posts, a couple of videos just saying like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start padding people and helping them become physically fitter. And it kind of evolved from there. So more and more people coming through the door. But what was happening were people were coming to me that lacked confidence. They had no self-esteem. They were in bad relationships. They were in toxic relationships. They'd been in relationships with domestic violence. And I had guys that kind of had that pressure of being the alpha male in the family and didn't like that pressure. So when they had the gloves on, again, they recognized that everything is peaceful, because when you're doing exercise, you can't think about what you're having for tea or what meeting you've got next, because you're fighting to find your breath. Because ultimately you're trying to use all of your muscles just to keep on fighting. So nothing else mattered. And people were coming to me saying, I'm not taking my medication anymore because the way that you talk to me, the way that you train, you've kind of healed me. I had business professionals talking about me being their guru, or they've told me more stuff than they've told their wife in 25 years. People were telling me things. You're my therapist. You're my life coach. You're this. You're that. You're my healer. You're very much like that pillar of strength, which I look up to. But I was just like, nah, I'm not. just too humble. And I used to blame the room that I was in and go, oh, it's the atmosphere you're training in. Oh, you're just a little bit emotional today. And it's nothing to do with me. I was like, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you're making those changes. So then I started pursuing, like, if people are telling me that this is what I am, I need to go and get qualified to be able to prove that I am that person. I've always been that person, but I wanted to go and seek that qualification. So I went and trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, life coaching, mindfulness, energy healing, everything, just because I wanted to help others. And then when the pandemic hit, so the security work faded out and my business took over, the pandemic struck, and that was all aspects of my physical business just wiped out like that. But it was that wake-up call for me was to go, you've got comfortable again, now you've got to push yourself further, and now you've got to take more people with you. I recognized when the pandemic struck that the mental health was going to be horrendous after this. I could see that with the amount of people that were passing away and being taken ill, that grief is going to strike, post-traumatic stress, it's all going to increase because of the way and the brutalness of this disease has impacted. People were dying alone, families weren't allowed to go to funerals. The grieving process, it takes time, but we're not allowed to do the things to help us heal. So yeah, for me, it was about taking business online, moving into an online platform, pushing myself out there. I started writing blogs and articles and just really going in really hard on the well-being and how to look after yourself, and sharing my story to inspire others to want to become better. And then obviously now we're here today where I'm on board with my support room, able to give my services and my experience and knowledge to help other people.
Adam, that was amazing. And honestly, thank you for sharing that. You know, I think it's never easy to share your past, but if you're passionate about your past and where it's taken you, it's even easier because people can relate to it, as I said before. But at the same time, your story, like, I didn't have to say a word. I was totally ingrained in what you were saying. And we really appreciate, you know, you sharing that support room. The one thing that I wanted to touch on is, you know, this has been raised through some of the questions that we get through our, you know, our support room, depression room, or, you know, we get direct messages. You know, the COVID situation has obviously put a huge strain on relationships. You know, we've seen divorce rates increase, not just in the UK, but globally. And there are individuals that are in relationships that are really struggling. Is this the right relationship for me? Am I getting on with my partner? You know, am I happy, for example? And a lot of them are scared. Exactly what you said earlier is, I don't want to hurt my partner, but at the same time, I also need to focus on myself. But they don't know which direction to move in. What advice would you give to those individuals going through those scenarios right now, or those situations?
It's harsh to say,
It's a
but
hard one.
you've got to put your health, your happiness, your life in front of everything first. Because how can you be the best version of yourself if you're not in control of all of those things? Okay, so your happiness is your responsibility. So we are seeing an increase in divorce rates because people are realizing, actually, like, if you could choose a partner to be locked away in self-isolation for 2 weeks, who would that person be? And people are kind of spending that time with their partner going, it's not you. I thought it was, but it's not. And it's about having that team, a team around you that inspire and support you, encourage you, motivate you to want to become better. But you're not going to do that if you're not happy yourself. Okay, so my advice is, you've got to follow your heart, because our brain, I can listen to my brain and we can make decisions and bad choices because we think, society thinks that we should be doing this. Our family influence us and make us think that this is the right thing to do. But actually, if you're not feeling it, if you're not in love with doing what it is, and whether it's a relationship, a friendship, even your job, if you don't love doing the things you do, then something's got to change, because one thing will break and it won't be the job, it will be you. So make sure that you're taking ownership of you first.
That's a good one. Thank you for that. I've got another question for you, Adam, and you can tell me when to stop. But the
Carry on.
question I've got is, yeah, there are people working from home at the moment, just like all of us. You know, the rare few are going into, you know, jobs where they need to be, you know, in buildings or whatever. People working much longer hours than they used to. You know, I read online the other day, it was nearly 2.5 hours. Sorry, they're working 2.5 hours longer than they used to work pre-COVID. And less people are taking days off because they're working from home. They just feel
Yeah.
like I'm not entitled to a rest. And now what is that doing to people? It's increasing stress levels, fatigue, but it's also having a real impact, you know, on their life and themselves.
Yeah.
What would you advise individuals to do? Like, you know, should they be taking more staycation? Should they be switching off, turning off their mobile phones? You know, what is your advice to people out there? Right.
Say we're taking 9 to 5. Okay, so what time do you leave in the morning to go to work? Some people are leaving at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock to commute for 2 hours. That's gone. Some people have a 2-hour commute home. That's gone. Okay, so I think people are going, right, instead of leaving for work at 7 o'clock, I'm going to start work at 7 o'clock. But they're not finishing when they should. They're working longer, like you said, because the routine's gone. They feel that because they're at home, that commute time is extra work, but it's not. It's an extra couple of hours that you can work on yourself, because then you're going to become more productive. So how can you become better and find more time if you're using all of that time to work for things that you're not getting paid to do? You can see how working longer is going to have an impact on your relationships. It's going to have an impact on the time you spend with your children, the time that you spend on yourself. Now, sometimes just walking away from the things that you're doing to go and have a walk around the block, or taking 2 hours off, is going to be more productive in the long run, because you're basically working for a burnout. You're waiting for burnout to happen, and it will catch you. You will get punished once you stop. So yeah, it's about setting good routines now, and that's what we've got to do. So set that routine where you've got a workroom within the house, if that's possible. Make sure it feels like that's where I go to work, and then you step away from it. So if you're in your front room working all day, then at night time you go back to the living room. You've not had a break. You need to get away from that environment. You almost need to put your work uniform on, and then when you finish work, go and change, so you feel like you've got home, got showered, and then you're like, right, now I'm back in my living space. So it's about making and setting those routines within the house. It's about the boundaries, because you're not setting any boundaries if you're working all day. You're just setting yourself up for failure. It might not be this year, but it will catch up with you eventually. And I think businesses love the fact that people are working more, because they're getting more out of you. And there's people that are working, doing their job, but the job of like 2 other people, because of furlough schemes and not getting to the office. So people are picking up more, taking more on board, but then they're not offloading their problems, or they're not getting rid of the energy at the end of the day. They're just going straight back to bed. Right, I've got to get up tomorrow, and it's like Groundhog Day again.
I totally agree with you. I think the expectations on people that are working is much higher than they used to be. At least when you were in the office, you could work with other team members. You could share workloads. And when it was you may be working from 9 to 6, but you go into a different environment when you get home, and there is a separation. But actually right now you're 100% correct, where I don't know, if you live in an apartment, it's even harder. You work in the living room, you eat in the living room. It's tough. I had a friend the other day that just mentioned that, you know, just switching your desk to different directions sometimes really can help. Changing your setup from a day-to-day perspective. One day having your desk near the window, and maybe, you know, having it in a different direction can really help. We really appreciate you spending time and, you know, helping, you know, and you're spreading your love as well, which has been great. And I bet there's a lot of people that have taken some great things away from what you've said today. But Adam, thank you very
No, just lots of
much.
people agreeing.
Much
So
appreciated.
thank you for having
And
me.
everyone that joined, thank you for joining as well.
One more question. So we'll keep it. Got another question. So how do I deal with toxic people? Again, it's about, you know that they're toxic. So what, you can either approach them and have them in your life, or you cut them out. Because if you have a fireball and it burns, okay, but you're going through life carrying this fireball, and every day it burns you, and you're accepting that, but for one day you have to put it down, and what will happen is that you'll feel that load just lighten because you're not carrying that toxic person. So close that space that you've got for them if that's what you feel necessary, because again, your happiness is your priority. And if they don't bring you happiness, or if they bring you down, then you don't need to be moving forward through life with that extra weight. So they're being a burden on you, but what you're doing is also carrying them and allowing that to happen. Okay, so thank you everybody that's joined this evening. Look out for the share, and if you are in need of support, then we are available, so please reach out. It's the best thing you can do. Okay, take care, bye for now.